I've never seen this before. As Masai Ujiri's made a ton of contracts official over the past couple days, and one being second round pick Urlich Chomche, whose contract structure is something that is a very unique and gives a big indication in terms of the Toronto Raptors' plans for his future with the organization, as well as we got some updates on Immanuel Quickley specific contract, which started off like Scottie Barnes, was a very, very large, but as more details have come out, it looks like it's more advantageous for the Toronto Raptors and the organization flexibility moving forward than we initially thought, as there's a couple details that are very, very positive, which has me even more excited about Immanuel Quickley coming back to this Raptors team. So lots of stuff to dive into in this video, but before we do, folks, I want to thank you guys. We hit our milestone of 35,000 subscribers. So big point of the channel. I appreciate everyone's been along the ride, along the journey. We're only getting started here. We're going to continue and deliver daily Toronto Raptors news coverage. And again, if you're part of the 49% that hasn't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But just want to say thanks. I always, as you guys know, the past, 7 years I've been on here, cranking out these vids. Appreciate you guys 10 out of times over, and excited for the Toronto Raptors to really amp things up, get into a positive direction. But let's dive into that Toronto Raptors news. The news has come out. And frankly, this is something I've never seen before. Now, we know Masai Ujiri, second round of this year's NBA draft, traded in to pick up Urlich Chomche. And there was all the signings came out, specifically Mogbo and Shed. Their deals happened before Urlich Chomche's went out. So Masai Ujiri was crafting a specific structure, a specific contract that made the most sense for the Toronto Raptors. Because again, Chomche is a unique prospect in terms of what he's able to provide. He's a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan, 9'17" reach, 9'1" standing reach, and average 3 games in terms of the averages. He played in a bunch of different leagues, a bunch of different places, but in 3 games in sort of that, little tournament they had going on down there, basically 13 points, 2.7 blocks, 3.3 assists, shot 38% from behind the 3-point line, and 1.3 steals. Quality player. 5 turnovers, a bit concerning, but again, small sample size, 30 minutes of action. Again, little term in terms of small sample size, competitive competition for sure, but, small sample size there for Urlich Chomche in terms of those stats, but a guy with high upside, high prospects, and, in terms of intangibles, he's a very young player. We're only 18 and a half years old, born in 2005, that's bananas, from Cameroon, 232, but we have official details, official news in terms of what his contract actually looks like at this point, as basically, the start of it's kind of clear in terms of what we were expecting. The Raptors signed Urlich Chomche to a 2-way contract. So that's not unique. This was kind of reported initially from the jump. Josh Lewenberg jumped on this pretty fast initially, but Blake Murphy dove into more details, saying that the deal will be a 2-year, 2-way contract, and those are fairly rare. But the Raptors are making a longer-term play here, and Chomche's camp was willing to see it out. He will be restricted free agent with a low qualifying offer after 2 years if it's not converted. So this is something I've not seen for the Toronto Raptors. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it's something that's unique and, my eye's been off the ball in terms of the deals that have been going out there, but I've never seen a 2-year, 2-way contract. A lot of the Raptors 2-way guys over the past couple seasons, they've been around for 1 season. They usually get cut or converted or something along those lines. But, and when players are brought back on the 2-way contracts, usually a 1-year deal, and then they're re-upped, and then they make Instagram posts about wanting to leave, wanting to be free, like Justin Champagny or stuff like that. So basically, to lock in a 2-year, 2-way contract indicates to me that the Raptors are very bullish on this guy long term, want him in their system for multiple seasons to get a ton of reps with the 905. Probably a few reps here and there depending on how the season goes with the big club, with the Toronto Raptors. I'm sure they'll get some run, especially if we have some injuries to Kelly Olynyk as well as Jakob Poeltl, but Urlich Chomche is getting brought in to be a development project, and a multiple year, 2-way contract really indicates that. So this isn't a guy that's going to be brought in, in the same way a Marquise Noel had been in the past, Champagne, different guys where you have 1 season to really develop on that 2-way contract, and we don't see flashes of greatness, this awesome talent, things like that. You're just getting cut. You're getting thrown to the wolves. You're getting tossed to another team. The Raptors signed him to a 2-year, 2-way contract, and basically, they're ready to have the little project structure in terms of what's going on with Urlich Chomche, and I couldn't be more happy, because again, we looked at his intangibles. He's a raw player, but he's a 7-footer that can shoot threes, that can facilitate, and do a lot of things out there, and has the physical intangibles to be very, very good basketball player. So I'm excited to see what he does. Obviously, has to put on some muscle, put some weight on his frame, but could be an awesome fit. Blake Murphy dropped some more details as well, saying that this makes all the sense developmentally, as given how far away Chomche is right now. However, it does make buying the 57th overall pick less of an obvious need, because there's no cap exception or benefit to the 57th pick versus an undrafted two-way guy. Just a case of making sure that you got your guy, it seems. And we knew Masai Ujiri was really high on bringing in Urlich Chomche, scouted him for years, but it seemed like he was supposed to be a mid-second round pick, so a guy that wasn't projected to fall, where he kind of did at 57th overall. Masai Ujiri was pretty locked in on signing him as a contract, bringing him in after scouting him that little while. So when he started falling in the draft, rather than risking him, having the entire NBA interested in picking up his contract, picking up his deals, they were able to lock in Urlich Chomche as a guy, at that center position, number 57 overall, and bring him into this interesting two-way contract. So I think this is a nice deal. I'm happy that him, given his high upside, he's going to have a couple years to really develop and blossom with this Toronto Raptors team. But let me know what you guys think about that contract down below. But we also have an update regarding Immanuel Quickley and his contract, because again, if you didn't follow this off season, you're just tuning in here now. It's Summer League around the corner, right? Immanuel Quickley was re-signed by the Toronto Raptors on a pretty significant contract, but it was roughly $35 million per season on that contract. That was the initial reporting, but a couple of details have specifically come out on Immanuel Quickley's contract that has me a little bit more excited in terms of how the deal is going to look. So basically, news has come out, and Blake Murphy's been crushing it with these reports, saying that Immanuel Quickley's contract contains $2.5 million per year in unlikely incentives. So his salary for cap purposes will be $32.5 million each season, $35 million for calculating the apron level, and $32.5 for luxury tax, or $35 million for luxury tax and tax depending on whether or not he achieves them or not. So what does that mean? So the unlikely incentives are things that, hey, do you win MVP of the league? Do you be a for all NBA first teamer? We don't have the specific incentives in terms of what those details have come out, but for all intents and purposes, since Blake Murphy came out and said they're unlikely, it indicates that Immanuel Quickley's contract extension is actually closer, or most likely going to be $32.5 million, which again is still significant. It's still a massive number, but better than the $35 million per year annual number that we sort of saw. And again, if he hits unlikely incentives, deserves all that money in the world, because the player that he is right now, again, I snuck up his stats there, 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 40% from the three-point line, able to hit him above the break, takes a significant volume, only 25 years old. He's earned that contract, being a piece, also a solid defender for the Toronto Raptors. Immanuel Quickley is a guy that I'm very bullish on in terms of his ability to develop. Obviously, Urlich Chomche is more of a prospect. Immanuel Quickley's a lot more polished and stuff, but basically, this contract's going to be about $32.5 million for Immanuel Quickley moving forward into the future. And, it's also flat. It's a flat contract. So Immanuel Quickley's deal, it doesn't get bigger and bigger as the years go along. It is a flat rate. So when the Raptors are 2-3 years down the line and ideally contending, ideally having a more well-rounded construction roster with a lot of guys that have to be paid, Immanuel Quickley's contract won't go up to a higher level. Right now, while we have the cap space, while we have the flexibility, have the room, he'll be paying a significant amount, and then that number will stay flat over the course of the season. So the structure of Immanuel Quickley's contract, even though it's a little bit bigger than some Raptors fans were expecting entering the offseason, it's definitely advantageous, I guess, for both sides, because Quickley obviously wants to be on a good team as well, moving forward for the future with the Toronto Raptors team. But let me know what you guys think about all this news in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Again, thanks for 35,000 subs. I'm signing out. Cheers.